AITA for telling my brother's wife she has no business interfering in things that have nothing to do with her? My brother is a deadbeat dad to two of his kids, his oldest two sons. He abandoned his ex and went out of his way to make sure she didn't get child support out of him. By the time his oldest would be old enough to start figuring shit out, she moved so they could have a fresh start and not have to worry about possibly finding out how much he didn't want to be their dad. She also cut me out of their lives, which I got. The younger brother of the guy who was giving her and her kids the middle finger after creating both those kids is probably not someone you fully trust. The boys and I have contact now that they are both adults. My brother is not aware of this. We are mostly estranged and I don't think very highly of him. I'm a single dad and would never abandon my kids. My brother got married 5 years after he abandoned his sons. His wife wanted to meet me when they got engaged and made a very big deal out of us not being close and me saying no to meeting her several times. She pushed me on the reason why and I said I didn't respect deadbeat parents. She said he wasn't a deadbeat and his ex kept him away from the kids. I told her that was a lie and he had gone out of his way to sever his obligations to those boys. She didn't believe me. I told her I was present during fights between him and his ex. That I had heard him say he didn't give a shit about those boys. She dismissed what I said. They got married and now they have some kids together. I don't even know how many for sure. A few weeks ago she reached out to me and said my brother had admitted to abandoning his older sons and made sure she never got a cent from him. She was saying how wrong that was, but now that she knows, she feels like the kids should all meet and she's going to find the boys and tell them they need to meet their siblings. I was like, are you serious, and told her she should not track down the kids he abandoned to tell them they need to meet the kids he didn't abandon. She defended what she wanted and said her kids deserve to know them and two grown men should want to know their family. I told her she had no business interfering in this when it has nothing to do with her. I reminded her that yes, her kids are related biologically, but leave it for them to decide in the future. Do not try rubbing this in their faces. What she doesn't know is my nephews already know my brother had more kids. They don't care. They have said they will never want a relationship with them. She said it has everything to do with her and I'm being an ass. AITA. Comment. Nailed it. She's trying to fix her husband's mistake so that somehow it'll rub off on him and prevent him from doing it again. In that sense, and only in that sense, does it have everything to do with her. Up has my respect for seeing through this request as selfish and protecting his nephews from this dumpster fire she is trying to light. Alternate theory, she found out in a fight about how he is a deadbeat at home too, and she now wants the older boys to play happy family so she can use them as free childcare since her husband won't do crap of nothing. Or maybe the guilt got to him, or she found old pictures/references to them. I dislike it when parents don't tell their kids about their other kids. I always worry they'll end up accidentally falling in love with their sibling later, which probably means I've watched too many soap operas and telenovelas. I think up now that Ops told her what he thinks, he should let her walk into the swamp. The boys will tell her themselves they don't want anything to do with their dad or half-siblings, and then everyone can block her. And maybe a dose of my precious babies should have more people in their lives to buy presents, contribute money to their college funds and drop everything to babysit. I know, the now adult kids my husband abandoned can do it. Maybe not all of those things, but she's only thinking about herself, not if it's the right thing to do. I just want to tell Op that he should tell the wife that the abandoned kids already know they have half-siblings and haven't shown any interest in meeting them. She just wants backup family for when deadbeat leaves her in the dust. Deadbeat left me, who could have seen this coming? At least my children have adult family members that can step up and help pay for them. After all, they lived through dad being an asshole. I'm sure they won't want their poor innocent siblings to suffer. This is a weird reference, but in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants movie, one character, Carmen, goes to stay with her dad and his new family and ends up breaking down to her dad about why didn't he love her enough to stay, and why did he leave and make another family, why wasn't she good enough for him, etc. I feel this is how it would go if the older boys met their younger half-siblings. She is making it about herself and her precious crotch gremlins, and sounds like she thinks she can make them one big happy family. That isn't going to happen, and if the adult kids have no interest in getting to know their half-siblings, it's their choice. Yeah, even assuming altruism on her part, which is not super likely, given this sub, she doesn't realize she's kicking a beehive here. She really need to leave well enough alone, or at least pull back real hard. I get it sucks to find out your partner is an admitted deadbeat, but this isn't how to handle it. So, The same woman who called you a liar about her deadbeat husband now thinks the children he abandoned owe her something? When she pays all the child support her husband blew off, maybe. But right now, she is just being a. Your brother still doesn't want anything to do with your nephews, so I don't know what she is thinking is going to change. Warn the nephews she might be in touch, tell your Sil to stop bithering you and remind her that if she was a decent person, she wouldn't have married and stayed with a man who abandoned his children and cheated them out of child support. Even knowing how poorly they were treated, she doesn't want to give them anything, she wants them to give something to her. What a selfish, oblivious person. Next story 2. Mill expects my family to host christening party for my newborn without consulting us. My baby was christened yesterday. It was a work day, so only a few close family members were able to attend. This is also how I preferred it. My mum rescheduled a major surgery just so she would be there for me and my kids. I didn't want her to hold off any longer. She is at the hospital with my sister now recovering from the procedure. Anyway, the christening went well and we came back home for a late lunch. While we were having coffee and dessert after the lunch, my Mill dropped the bomb on us. She told us not ask that we are having a proper party the Sunday to celebrate. She goes on to explain that she will invite all her family members and friends, etc. Me and my mum looked at each other confused. Then I asked if they are throwing the party at their place. I said if you are, I will bring both kids over. But my mom and sis will be out of town on urgent business. Mill said no, we can't do it. We were hoping you would. I am sure you can reschedule, whatever it is. Words can't describe how furious I was. I controlled my anger somehow and said no, that's impossible. The main point of a christening is for the child to be blessed and baptized. We have done that. Also, we have the most important family members here. We won't host a redo. I didn't tell her about my mum's surgery because it is none of her business and my mum is a very private person. My toddler distracted us at this point and the topic was dropped. I was still seething, but the event ended on a good note. Was I wrong to be upset? I think it is very presumptuous to tell your sons-in-laws to shoulder the labor and cost of hosting a big party of 60+ people 3 days before the event. Also, her refusing to host herself rubbed me the wrong way. My family took care of my toddler while I gave birth. They have been taking care of me and my kids since the beginning of August. They gave me space to heal from the birth and get used to having 2 babies. My in-laws didn't do anything. They have seen the baby only 3 times since birth. My family are the ones who took me to hospital visits, helped me run my errands and even helped me financially. For my Mill to come in and say the lunch we prepared is not enough really made me mad. And this isn't the first time she overstepped. She told my mom I should stay in with her until I am 3 months postpartum. She says this to make things easier for her son. It is a long story, but my husband has a history of being irresponsible. I had decided to leave him before, but we reconciled for several reasons. Anyway, I want to know how to firmly set boundaries with my Mill, particularly where my family is concerned. Or should I just be silent and slowly detach from her? Comment. Does Mill and your family share the same culture? If yes, then on top of the audacity of telling someone else what to do with their home, she knows the reason you're there is to recover from childbirth. She knows what that entails, and she still decided to try this. I'm pretty sure recovering doesn't include hosting a huge party. Definitely be prepared for Mill to stop by around party time and possibly others as well. Have your plan in place now so you are not completely caught off guard. Not answering the door is always an option, but not so simple if it is obvious that you are home. Especially if it is an invitee that has no idea that you aren't hosting a party. Probably a good idea to make plans elsewhere for the day if possible. The post-recovery period is done in Vietnam, too. The mother is supposed to spend 3 months in a dark room, slathered in turmeric paste, and be bedbound. My wife's family were aghast at her going on short hikes a couple of weeks later. I suppose those traditions make sense when you don't have hospitals and modern medicine and the only other option to sitting in a dark room is working in a rice paddy. How incredibly presumptuous and rude of Mill. You are entirely correct to be angry with her. She wants all the glory of hosting a party with none of the work, and if you had said yes, it set you up for a major expense and failure minus 3 days to prep while you have 2 loaves for 60+ people. Mole is delusional. Her lack of involvement/help only further shows why it is likely a good decision to detach from this selfish woman. You will have enough on your plate with your own mother having health stuff going on and your 2 lows. If my mill tried that with me, I would laugh at her and then full stop ask if she needs to be assessed because she sounds insane. Only insane people invite people to someone else's home / make plans without the homeowner's involvement. Congratulations on your low. I hope your mum's surgery goes well. First thing I'd do is make a list of things she's done that have upset, annoyed or downright pissed you off. Decide what order of annoyance they should be. Then think of what kind of consequences should be assigned to them. Like, if she calls too many times a day, a timeout from her calls for 1 day and mute her for 24 hours. Or if she is visiting without calling ahead, she's not allowed in to visit. Maybe she disses your family and you tell her to stop and she keeps it up. Get up and leave, if at her house, or tell her that her visit is over and make her leave, if at your house. Stuff like that. Expect pushback for everything. Sit down with hubby and go over everything. From your description, he may give you some pushback, so you may have to set some boundaries with him as well. Or, every time she does something negative, step back. Withdraw. Don't share information. If she complains, let her know that you've noticed she complains about certain stuff, so you decided to be nice and not bring it up so as not to cause her any aggravation. Kill her with kindness. You firmly set boundaries with your in-laws exactly the way you just did. Boundaries are about what you are going to do. They aren't rules, because you can't enforce rules, they're just information about your own intentions. Your intentions are not to obey her demands when they don't happen to work well for you and your family. Great. So tell her that I'm words that leave no room for error or confusion whenever she demands something you don't happen to want to do anyhow, just like you did in this case. No, we will not be doing that, is a great answer to such demands. So is I think not, or simply a cheerful, no, thanks. Keep telling her no whenever you wouldn't have wanted to do the thing even if she'd never said a word.